I want you to imagine yourself getting trapped at the bottom of a deep tunnel in utter darkness with one of the creepiest animals to most people. Snakes, lots of them, and you have no way out. That is a fate none of us would ever want to face. But actually this happened to a man, and he is John Waddell, a 60-year-old gold miner. And this is his story. But for us to understand how he got himself in this absolute hell, we gotta go back a little. It all began on the day John found gold in the mine. You see, John had a property, and by property I mean a whole area of land with gold mines, and he had been exploring in them for nearly 20 years, diligently searching for gold. He would collect rocks and conduct his research on geology, but when it comes to actually finding gold, not much success. He would find some here and there, but not as much as he would like. Until he finally discovered where the gold would be on this property of his. By the way, it is located in Arizona, and you know what that means, right? Hot weather, and getting trapped somewhere under that sun is not fun. In fact, it could be fatal. But where he would find gold this time was not a place that the sunlight could ever reach. It was a dark 100-foot deep tunnel located in this one specific mine that John already had known was not depleted. Now, even though John knew every rock and crevice, every turn and tunnel on his property, this time he was convinced it is not going to be easy. But when he knew he had finally found the mother lode, aka a treasure of gold, he was willing to take a risk. This mine he was heading into that day had a vertical shaft entrance, requiring a pulley system to lower himself into the deep darkness below. John was cautious, and like I said, knew this one will be quite hazardous. So the previous night, he called his friend Terry Schrader to let him know where he would be in case something happened and when he expected to return. It was a routine they followed for years. If one of them did not return, the other could do something about it. So, finally the time has come. As the sun rose over the Arizona desert on that Monday morning, John gathered his supplies, including his medications, and left his home with high hopes. He set off for the mine. Despite his age, he was in great shape and well prepared for the descent. Arriving at the mine, John checked out the surroundings, the weather and everything, and then planned his next few steps. After that, he then set up the pulley system and without wasting any more time, began lowering himself into the 100-foot deep shaft. He had done this many times before, but this time, man, something goes horrifyingly wrong. Deep into the descent, something snapped. John did not have time to think or see. He was in a free fall. He was desperately grabbing the ropes, but they slid through his glove, burning his hand. And his bare hand was even worse as the skin was tearing away from the burning hot rope. Within seconds, he hit the ground with a thud, blinding pain shooting through his body as he realized his left leg was broken. His ankle twisted grotesquely and he is in shock. Alone with no one expecting him back until late Tuesday, John knew he was in serious trouble. Now, this is the Monday morning, and he has to wait about 1.5 days, if not longer, until his friend Terry realizes that John has not come back. That is a terrifying realization when you are in the situation that John is in. But John knew he had to act fast. He had been an EMT, so he knew the gravity of his injuries and the urgency of resetting his leg before swelling set in. He found a stick on the wet muddy floor, braced it against his boot, and pushed with all his might, snapping his leg back into place with a searing pain. He also tried to fix his ankle but couldn't get it quite right, so he splintered it as best as he could. Then, as he leaned back, trying to catch his breath, he saw something moving fast, slithering down the wall in front of him. A rattlesnake. Yeah, you heard me right. With what he just saw and his leg being immobilized, John faced the grim reality of his situation. He couldn't move, and all he could do was just stare into the darkness, and every few seconds he could see and hear rattlesnakes around him. But time went on. He was in absolute agony, and the next worst possible thing that could happen also happened. His light flickered and died, plunging him into even more darkness. Now he was even more vulnerable in agony, surrounded by snakes he couldn't even see, but he could hear them though. That is one thing I like about rattlesnakes. They just like let you know, hey, I am here, do not come near me. So that's one good thing, but still, this is hell for John. Hours passed in cold, damp mine. He felt hopeless. He cannot climb up or even move for that matter. Then suddenly he felt something move under his arm. Again, a rattlesnake. He threw it across the shaft and beat it to death in dark. After that, he wasn't even sure if the rattlesnake was killed, but since he couldn't see, he kept on beating it to beyond death. The last thing he wanted was a bite from a rattlesnake. If he gets bitten and does not get medical help within an hour, it will lead to organ failure and eventually death. This means every second in that tunnel was life or death to John. Exhausted, dehydrated, and in constant pain, John fought to stay alive without giving up. But as more time went on, it got only worse. He hallucinated dark clouds and animals circling the shaft, his mind simply breaking down from exhaustion and lack of medications. But he knew he had to keep fighting. He tried to dig footholds into the wall to climb out, but quickly realized the futility with his broken leg. But on Wednesday morning, something good might be happening all of a sudden. He heard the sound of an engine above. He got excited and got up barely, but learned it's actually another snake, so he beat it. But then the sound did not stop. It kept going until John finally realized it was Terry, his friend and lifeline. John could not believe it. He was saved, but his ordeal was far from over. After hours of careful extraction, he was airlifted to Banner University Medical Center in Phoenix, where he underwent multiple surgeries. Despite the excruciating experience, John just couldn't shake the memory of seeing rocks with gold in that mine. As he recovered, he debated whether to return for the treasure or sell the mine and leave it all behind. And that brings us to the end of this story. It did not end in a tragedy after all, thankfully. Alright everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, please like and subscribe. And as always, stay safe out there. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.